Hello everyone and welcome to another Nothing But Fishing. Now this one is quite a special one. The place that I'm fishing today is Emborough. Now if you've watched me for years, and I mean years, going back to when I was probably about 16, that's probably the last time I ever fished at this place. So a lot of childhood memories. I grew up fishing here. I probably started fishing here 10, 11 years ago when I was 13. And it's actually my birthday weekend, so it's Friday the 13th today, and tomorrow is Friday the 14th, which is my 24th, so birthday session. And the reason I'm fishing this place is because the person who's fishing to my right, Grant, kindly messaged me probably a month or so back saying, did I fancy a guest session on Emborough? And straight away all the memories started flooding back of Emborough, and I'd always had in my head that I'd love to fish this place at least once more. Didn't really know what the stock was like anymore. As of all places you don't fish for years, the rumours start going around about places. It was new ownership, became a syndicate, and obviously couldn't go around the otter fence and everything, so I couldn't access it, but I'd always fondly look over. You can see it from the main road, I could see it from the main road, and I'd always look down and think, I wonder if I'll ever fish this place again. And when I got the opportunity to come up, like I said, it was a no-brainer, so I accepted. Now I got here yesterday, I finished all my work. I was manically working all day so I could get here as soon as I could, and I got here probably an hour or so before dark. I had a little bit of a walk around, looked at all the swims I used to fish when I was younger, and all the memories, as I still thought, started coming back. I was really looking forward to the session. Anyway, I didn't get the camera out. It was grotty evening, really misty, to the point that by the time I got all my rods out, you could barely see past the rod tips. It was miserable, drizzly and horrible. Anyway, an hour into the session, my rods started rattling off, or dancing around, should I say, the alarm. I was fishing locked up because it's very heavy weed here. And I thought, here we go, dream start, and it was a tench. So not the best of fish to have when you're expecting to catch some lovely carp, but having said that, it's a new water to me basically because it's changed since I last fished it. It's now heavy dense weed, and finding clearer spots is kind of the way to go about it. So I've put on complete naked shod setups, and that proved to me that my setup was working. This is an extremely long intro, I'm aware of this, but I'm getting to it. Anyway, good night's sleep. I got picked up by a swan at 1:30 in the morning, which I'm not gonna lie, that pissed me off because it got me out of the bag and I had to get all wet in the rain for a swan that picked me up, but luckily it didn't hook up. Brought it in, recast the rod, and then this morning a couple of beeps on the right hand rod again, which is what I had the tench on. So I whipped the sleeping bag off and just sat here watching, and nothing, it just didn't do anything. And another beep beep, so I quickly ran out, forgot to put my shoes on, so got my feet soaking wet again, and then beep 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 beep. I'm fishing naked shod setup, so a bit of a finicky bite, and it sounds like a tractor's about to come down, so wait for him to pass. The joys of fishing in rural Somerset. Anyway, he ruined my story. I'm grinning because I have an original mirror soaking in the net. I'm about to get the rod back out, but absolute dream start to the session. I'll show you through my tactics and all in a bit. We're gonna get this rod back out and show you the peach of a fish, which has put a grin on my face as an early birthday present. Here we go. This is the reason I was grinning in my first opening piece. First session up here since I was a teenager. I think 16 was my last session up here. I'm 24 tomorrow. And what a great early birthday present. So first session, first morning, I had a tench last night which showed that my presentation was right, but this is what I came here for. And we weighed it, 22 pounds. So that's my third 20 of the year already, and it's the first fish out of this venue this year. So not bad for a guest session. I'll show you the other side as well, but what a fish. This has some stories to tell. And there's the other side. This fish is probably my most memorable capture, one that means a lot as well, because obviously, like I said, I grew up fishing here. And just to give you a bit of history of this place, even my dad and his dad used to fish up here for tench when they were younger. So a lot of history in this place, and the fact that I'm still fishing it probably 70 odd years later, happy days.
Well done, mate.
Get it in. And we still got the rest of the session.
And we still got the rest of the session.
takes a while to be a tarp. Right, well, as my rod's in the water, I thought I'd show you how simple the setup is that I'm using. The rod's out of the water because I've been picked up for the 4th time by the swan. But anyway, naked chod setup is what I've gone for. I knew this place was weedy from even when I used to fish it, but Grant told me that it's even more weedy than it ever used to be, and it certainly is the case. So, really simple naked chod setup. I've got a 3-ounce lead to the Fox sort of drop-off system. With my work, I get to test a lot of different things, and this seems the neatest, and just I really liked how it worked with a bit of PVA. So that melts, casts out fine, it melts, and if that lead comes under any pressure, which is quite often is the case with weedy waters, that will come off and it will just make it easier to land the fish. And then I've got the top bead. So I don't have a second bead here, which I normally would, because I'm thinking where I'm fishing, the weed varies in so much depth that lead can plummet into the weed as much as it wants, and this is still going to be free. So I've got probably a foot of free movement on the chod, and depending on where I'm fishing, I could slide that top bead up. But I've had a tench and a carp on it so far, and nearly 4 swans. So I know that it's been presented right over the weed. Let's get it back out now it's clipped up, and hopefully we'll have some more. The last session I ever did was in this swim, and I blanked my ass off while my mate had a few. The memories. Well, as I said at the start of the video, I haven't fished this place since I was probably about 16, so 8 years ago I'd say was the last time I actually put a rod out here. So it's really nice to come back and see the same place but how it looks now. Not a lot has changed, to be fair. This is new actually. This is a couple of swims known as the kitchen swims, left and right kitchen. I think the last session I ever did was in the left kitchen, and I blanked while my mate had a few. But yeah, it's just so nice coming up here, and all the memories are coming back. We used to finish school quite often and cycle up here because it's only down the road from me. It's probably about an hour to cycle, maybe just under. So we used to come up, cycle around the place, normally go home covered in mud, and because around the other end it's like a marshland. To get around to the other side it's all boggy, and we always used to go around that. And also sometimes we'd come up here after school. Before any of us could drive, we'd load up the car and get our parents to drop us off. Just do an evening session, because back when I used to fish this, under 16s couldn't night fish, so it was only day sessions. So we just do an evening here, an evening there, a day here if you could, until I turned 16. Then I did my first ever night session, I think, up here in a really crappy tent-like bivvy, but got to start somewhere. And I think I blanked on that session as well. It's quite a recurring theme that I blanked a lot up here. I just took my methods that I used on places like Hunt Street, Withypool and Bridgeport, which were runs waters, simple tactics, and I just use them here, not really taking much into account of the bottom. It's quite silty, and now it's even more so. It's very silty, very weedy, but I've come prepared. I know how to fish these sort of waters. So naked chods has paid off so far. So nostalgia reasons aside, I'm over the moon to have caught something as well, but that really is a bonus to catch that. And my biggest ever fish out of here before, I think it was a mid 15-pounder. I'd only had about 4 or 5 fish out of here. So that's my biggest fish, and it was an original, so that's even more special. And as I said, when I caught the fish, my dad and his dad used to come up here tench fishing all those years ago. So it is a very old lake, beautiful place, and to catch one of the originals, just icing on the cake. So I'm just having a little walk around, revisiting all the swims. As I said, I'm in kitchen swims now. You've got helipads and snag swims, dugout, point, car park swims, creaky tree, dead man's corner, boathouse. It's a lake full of character, really. And I'm just so happy to be back here. I hope that's coming across on camera, that I'm thoroughly enjoying my session. And if I don't catch anything else, who cares? I'm enjoying it. That's an early birthday present. So I'm 24 tomorrow, so yeah, I'm going to carry on walking around, enjoying the surroundings. And I hope you see why I like it here. Insert said clip here. Well, I've just got back from my walk down memory lane and time to get a bit more bait out. Now it is mid-afternoon, so I might leave it a little bit longer because yesterday I didn't get here until gone 6. Had to set the rods up, get them out and then spom out, and I wasn't finished until it was well into dark. So I know that the fish weren't too wary because I then had a bite in the morning, but I'm going to try and do it a little bit earlier this time, so well before last night. Going to get the rods repositioned exactly how I want them and then bait up again. The left rod, I've got kind of 2 or 3 rod lengths off the dam wall. Find a clearer area. A lot of it is just finding clearer areas rather than clear, and I'm fishing just a boilie approach on that one. So whole boilies and chop boilies, and then putting a naked chod over the top of that. The right hand 2 rods I'm fishing onto one spot, not very far out, 11.5 wraps I think it is, and then spomming over the top. Now here's the mix that I made the other day, and it's got a real mix of things in here. So it's got like party blend, hemp, chickpeas, various size pellets, boilie crumb, boilie flake, some powder. I think the biggest pieces I've got in here are 10mm boilies, and then in with that I just poured a load of sort of a sickly sweet mix. So I've also got scopic squid in there, all sorts, real mixtures. So some of it's sweet, some of it's sort of fishy, all mixed together. So there's a lot of different smells coming off it, quite oily, and where it's been soaking, everything's taken up the flavour, and I can sort of bind it together if I really do squeeze it. So it's quite a nice mix, but nothing huge. Because I'm fishing in a lot of weed, I didn't want anything huge that was just going to plummet through the water and just disappear into it. So all of this is just going to flutter down really slowly. I tried it in the margin, and all the smaller particles just sort of drift down. So it should make a nice carpet of loose feed that they're going to get grubbing around in. This produced a tench to start with, obviously, and then I caught a carp. So I'm quite confident that they're going to be feeding on. I'm going to put out quite a lot of this, because last night I put about 8 spoms out over the spot and probably 5 on the left. I've now put the 2 closer together. I'm going to put probably 20 spoms or so over the top of it, and hopefully they'll move in. Graze on this, and then my 2 jollies, which hopefully are protruding above the weed, will do the business. So let's get a bit more bait out. Well, we're coming into the second evening now, and I realise I haven't actually introduced you to Grant. Now, you fished on over the last sort of 6 months or so, and you hit me up probably a month or so back saying, did a fancy session?
Yeah.
And then when I showed you the pictures and all the memories I had of this place, I jumped at the chance. So thank you very much for having me on here.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
catching one this morning was just icing on the cake. But I understand you've fished here for the last 6 months or so.
Yeah.
I'm going to go grab a can while you start talking to the camera, because I've heard this story a few times. But I know he's got a good story about one of the big ones in here.
Right. Yeah, a friend asked me to come up and fish the lake to see what was left in the original stock of there was an otter attack, so they wanted to see what was left of the original stock. So come up, have a couple of sessions first just to get me bearings, had a little walk round, see what was...
You still going?
Yeah, see what was about. And done a first session at the top and got off the mark. We had a mid-20. So then he was doing a lot of cutting and maintenance at the time, so I come back on a second trip, and I didn't actually bring my bivvy because I was planning to do a session under the bunker. So I'd done a first night under the bunker, and I can hear fish boshing down the bottom, and at the time the weed was wiping me lines out every hour or so. So there was a boat, I jumped on the boat and paddled over. I did about 4 sessions, and it was raining and I didn't have a bivvy, so I've had to phone up Aaron and say, can you bring a bivvy up while it's still raining while my gear's on the other side of the lake. So I stayed out in the boat because it's really weedy. I just wanted to find a clearer area to present a bait, and I found a nice little clear area just in between 2 little weed beds. So I anchored up, cast back to the bank, clipped up, went back, put about 2 kilos of boilers over the top, and put a solid bag and a little pop-up rig on it, 2 rods. And that was it really. And in the morning, the rod tips was up because of the weed. I just a couple of bleeps over, hit into it. It was solid. Went out in the boat. It was round the weed bed, and actually my lead didn't discharge. So it went round the weed bed, and I was kind of looking. I didn't even know if there was a fish still left on. And then a big fish, at least 30 pounds, just come out from underneath in a short...
You didn't do the swirl as enthusiastically as you showed me.
Yeah, it was a bit... He come out and he went woof, when he even... Like yeah, he moved water, and I knew what it was anyway. So, because the bloke been telling me for months there's a big common in there, big common in there. He's seen it walking about. It's crystal clear. Anyway, so yeah, I got him in. Long story short, he was 32.14, so a big common for around here. And
it was dark as well,
yeah,
especially the age of it.
Yeah, we were saying earlier, in here, it don't even matter about the size. They all got a story to tell. They're absolutely beautiful. But yeah, since then, I've had 5 other 20s up to mid-20s. And that's it. And then we're back up to date where you had a 22 this morning. Lovely fish.
Again, that's got his story to tell with all the
Yeah.
dark lines and scars.
You could see the old
skin
scars from where the otter had a go
Yeah.
at it, and then you can see the scars from where he's been at
in the
on
snags over the years.
snags
Yeah,
and-
so
yeah,
it was
it's
one
just-
that got away from the jaws of an otter, thankfully.
Definite, yeah. But yeah,
Hopefully, coming into the evening with this light wind pushing into us, get a bit more bait out. That swan picks me up one more time. I can't say on camera what I'd want to do with it, but he's diving again.
that's about the 8th time in the last hour.
Yeah, something like that.
That's the thing you have got to put up
Yeah.
with here is the wildlife. But apart from that,
But at least it shows my rigs are presented because they're finding it very, very easily.
yeah, they are.
Bring on some more fish, I say.
Yeah.
So here we go, I've just wound in my left rod, which was on a clear spot, and this is what we're up against. So this is Canadian weed, I think it's called. There's a lot of silkweed as well. This, I'm pretty sure, was on the winding, because where I picked up the rod and started winding it, it's fine, and then it went solid, so I wound into a weed bed. But this is what you're up against. So we've got all of this all over the place, basically. It's a case of finding the least amount of this, and maybe just a layer in of silkweed sort of thing. And then, obviously, I'm presenting this over the top. I'm letting that hit the, not even hit the clip on this one, so I'm just flicking this one out. So that's going down, that bead's shooting up to the top, and that should be sitting over the top. This one is the one that I'm fishing over a heavy sort of boilie approach. I'm going to put this one back out, and hopefully that one will do me bite. I'm actually quite confident in the boilie rod because there's not been any disturbance down there. It's out of the way from where we're fishing. I'm not spodding over the top, so it's quite delicate bait approach, but there's enough out there for a fish that's munching to come in and take it. So that's what's going back out there now. Then it's going to be the two right hand rods, which once again the swan is trying to pick me up. I wouldn't be surprised if I get another pickup from him because he's right on the spot. Such is the session with him. So let's get this one back out, get rid of the swan, and get those two back out.
Morning everyone, and unfortunately no carp to bring you. The night wasn't completely uneventful, quite a few fish boshing about, I could hear them, which is more activity than we heard the first night. Again, a few liners here and there, swans all night picking me up, especially this morning. I was in and out of this bivvy with the spom about 6 or 7 times after getting picked up repeatedly by them. So eventually they've cleared off, and I did have another tench, 10 to 5 this morning I think it was. Bigger than the first one, probably about £4 this one, but not what I was after. And there's still fish in the area. I've got a few liners quite recently. Actually had a liner on the left hand rod, which is the first bit of activity on that rod since we got here really, and a few touches here and there. So I'm just going to be sat watching the water now. The mist is just rising, so getting a bit more clear of the lake, but hopefully will bag myself an actual birthday banger, because today is my 24th. So got a tea. I've got some Thatcher's haze left, but I thought it was a bit early for that. So hopefully we'll have something before I go about lunchtime.
Well, unfortunately we're coming towards the end of the session, and really enjoyed my session here, as you can probably tell coming across on camera. A lot of memories here, great fish to boot, great company. I've met quite a few people here this session, just really enjoyable. Unfortunately didn't have any more today. There was always the chance. The rods are still out, and I could get one very last minute, but it's going to be a slow pack away now. And who knows, maybe I'll be up here again sometime in the future, but if not, thoroughly enjoyed myself up here. And I've probably overlaid a few of my old clips when I used to film up here. kind of where it started and where I used to do a lot of my videos, and this was always the tough water, and it seems it still is pretty tough, so it's quite good to have that fish. Someone else had one last night, so fish were coming out and they are starting to be a bit more active, but yeah, really enjoyed it. Happy birthday to me. I think that was a great fish to boot, and I'm actually out fishing again tomorrow till Monday on another water, so hopefully we'll have something then. I hope you enjoyed this video. Cheers for watching. Please like the video if you did. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram at Nothing But Fishing. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you again soon.